Price, a trainer who was on an offer with one start this year, and Fuentes, who had the 26 starts and no wins, but came into the race with a little bullet workout. I had the horse down in my mix based on that bullet workout, but it was fun to see. I'm sure it upset a lot of the tickets and played into that carryover in the pick six, but it was fun to see the jock get the first win of the career again. That one in start number 29 for Eric Fuentes. And finally, as I say, very unusual to be sitting in here in an afternoon and see three apprentice jockeys get their first career victory. But it happened towards the end of the day down at Gulfstream. She's a Happy Girl, the number 4 horse, 20-1 on the morning line. Went off at 17-1, and it was Angel Morales getting it done down at Gulfstream. Again, I think it was the nightcap. They might have had 10 yesterday, but it was the 9th race regardless. It was the end of the day down there. She's a Happy Girl getting it done. This is a horse that had come in off a 3rd place and a 4th place finish against Similar. So, as I say, took a little action. I think a lot of that action was probably because of the 10-pound apprentice as well, but went off as the second longest price on the board at 17-1. Angel Morales getting it done in that 9th at Gulfstream. Started his career on November 6th, so this was only start 11 for him. So a nice job there, again, early in the career to get the first career victory. So congratulations to all 3 of those jockeys, Melissa Iorio, Eric Fuentes, and Angel Morales, breaking the schneid, as it were, and getting their first victories yesterday at 3 different tracks and spaced out during the afternoon. It was kind of fun to see. We were looking on Twitter last night. Gulfstream didn't put out any. I'm sure he got the business from the Gulfstream jockeys, but I didn't see it. And our friend the Brooklyn Cowboy tweeted out, "Hey, Tampa, keep the camera on the jockey, and so we can see. Everybody wants to see that." And I wholeheartedly agree. That's part of the fun of those apprentices getting their first victory, to get the video. And you know, if your simulcast camera can't handle it, send somebody from the press department out there and grab a video. And these days, pop it up on social media. Nyra did a great job, like they did last week with Matty Olvar, getting the business from the jockeys after the first career victory and posting it up on Twitter. So again, congratulations to all 3 of them. Also yesterday, after the second race yesterday at Aqueduct, they had a nice ceremony in the winner's circle for our friend John Imbriale. We've had him on the show a number of times. He has been with Nyra, obviously, for quite a long time and has been the full-time track announcer down there at Aqueduct. And you can see the jockeys and many of the Nyra employees came out to honor John Imbriale. He is kind of, if you see the person in the tan coat with the back to us, right at the bottom kind of left center of the picture, John is right in front of that person. And again, nice turnout down there and a nice tribute to John Imbriale. Anthony Stabile was up in the booth and gave a little bit of the history of John and whatnot. A lot of feedback on Twitter and everything. And again, we've had him on the show a number of times, and I've known John for a while now. Nice guy, as well as being a talented announcer, and it's always fun to hear his history. He's talked about it when I've had him on the show. Got into Nyra and eventually substitute announcing, and then to full-time eventually via a 1979 Daily News contest, which by participating and winning the contest, got to call a race at Nyra and work in the press box, and subsequently turned into a career. So, as I say, not your normal career path, newspaper contest, but it worked out very, very well for John Imbriale. And again, for folks who aren't familiar, this news came out kind of right at the end of the Saratoga meet, I want to say. John semi-retiring. He will still be calling Belmont, but tomorrow will be his last day at Aqueduct When Aqueduct returns, it'll be Chris Griffin, who, of course, has been the announcer for the last couple of years at Parks. Came up from Texas prior to that, but Chris Griffin, he's done some substituting in New York and whatnot. So he will be the Aqueduct announcer on the Nyra circuit going forward, Chris Griffin. And our man Frank Miramati will be doing Saratoga in the future on the Nyra circuit with, again, John Imbriale semi-retiring and doing Belmont going forward. So, again, best wishes to John Imbriale going forward on a semi-retirement. Talked a little bit about this on Handicappers Report earlier. The Graded Stakes Committee came out with their updates for 2023. And again, the notable upgrade or downgrades involving grade 1 races. The Stephen Foster was upgraded to a grade 1, Stephen Foster at Churchill Downs. The downgrades are the Cigar Mile at Aqueduct, the Woodward at Belmont at Aqueduct, the Clark Stakes at Churchill, the Starlet at Los Alamitos, and the Rodeo Drive, that one being for fillies and mares, at Santa Anita. The Starlet, of course, 2-year-old fillies at Los Al. And we talked about it earlier, Anthony Mormino and I. With the foal crop size the way it is now, it's probably well deserved that there are downgrades and even, less graded stakes races overall. I mentioned, looking at the Matt Haggerty article talking about this news yesterday. He talks about there are 440 graded stakes races. That's 9 fewer than there were in 2022. But again, with the size of the foal crop being drastically smaller than it was not that long ago, probably this could all be pared down a lot more. But this is a function, the Graded Stakes Committee, a function of the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association. And so I don't know whether they want to lose too many graded stakes because that helps them with the black type on the page at the auction. Certainly tracks and fans don't like to see their local graded stakes lose their status. And so it's a tough call in the racing industry. I mentioned earlier, we talked a little bit about it, and I'm not trying to be a homer because I don't have any real argument with the downgrades, again, looking at the bigger picture and whatnot. But I did mention earlier, you look at a couple of weeks ago, the Cigar Mile has been downgraded from a grade 1 now to a grade 2. Had 3 grade 1 winners in it, though. Mind Control, obviously, with a couple of grade 1 wins on the resume already. And Zandon and White Abarrio. And again, we were talking, Anthony Mormino and I, and admittedly, folks talked about the Cigar Mile this year as being kind of a less than stellar edition, perhaps, but 3 grade 1 winners. However, Zandon and White Abarrio as grade 1 winners, how strong of a grade 1 resume do they have? The Bluegrass for Zandon, the Florida Derby for White Abarrio. And again, there was a lot of chatter on social media yesterday when the conversation went on these gradings as to should Derby prep races be grade 1s or leading into the grade 1 Kentucky Derby, should these races be downgraded a little bit? And again, they're restricted races for 3-year-olds only, so that all played into it. I mean, I see both arguments on the Cigar Mile, though, in that, again, there were 3 grade 1s. David Aragona, I think, tweeted out, with the downgrading of the Cigar Mile now, older horses, last grade 1 of the year is going to be the Breeders' Cup Classic, which, that there's still better part, a couple of months left of racing after that, but that'll be at this point the last grade 1 on the schedule. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Again, if you go to the TOBA website, Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association, you can actually pull up the press release they put together for this yesterday and read about some of the changes that were made. Coming up this year, there are 97 grade ones, 135 coming up next year, 135 grade twos, 208 grade threes, 440 total. Listed stakes races, 193. Listed restricted, 13. Non-listed eligible, 255. So all graded stakes races, listed stakes races, non-listed eligible stakes races, 900. And again, with the foal crop size being what it is now, and we mentioned it earlier on the handicappers report. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you hear people complaining all the time with social media these days. Graded stakes races with small fields, that's a little bit disappointing. And part of that is you have, the nice graded stakes race today at venue A, and venue B has a very similar race, either today or next Saturday, and that will split up the potential field in there. And if we did kind of pare them down significantly, maybe we would wind up with stronger fields in some of these graded stakes races. But again, it is a very tough decision that has to be made by the racing industry that would get pushback. You saw it on social media yesterday, a lot of it, where people will complain, short field, blah, blah, and then the stake at their venue, the one in their backyard, their hometown track, loses, and it's like, what? Wait. And so there is a lot of, parochialism involved as well. But again, the graded stakes for next year have come out. As I say, if you go to the website, type in Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association into Google, go to their website, you can pull up and look at the entire list and see what changes have been made, either moving up or moving down or cutting out of graded stakes altogether. All of that decision earlier this week. All right, I'm just looking. It looks like they are firing things up at Nyra, and again, we're doing an abbreviated edition today because they are squeezing in 10 down at Aqueduct. That means an 11:50 post time morning racing at Aqueduct to kick things off, and so we'll wrap it up for Racing Across America so we can get down and check out the pregame show. And it looks like they're lining things up there, so we'll get you there for scratches and changes and whatnot at the Big A. John Imbriale, last couple of days to hear him in the booth at Aqueduct, so that should be fun as well. Seth Merrow, Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back in a little over an hour or so with OTB Live for a Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in a few.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.